everybody, SonGoshuaku live with WWE WrestleMania 41 Night 1 review. So, after Jelly Roll, who has lost a lot of weight, so much props to him, along with Triple H doing the introduction, we kick off WrestleMania 41 with the very first match, Jey Uso versus Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Jey Uso was really over with the entire audience. Like, I mean, man, just doing absolute huge reaction. And it's funny because I was there live when Jey Uso had won the WWE Royal Rumble into the 2025 one. And man, the audience reaction, including myself, we were going crazy with all the yeeting, and there was a lot of chatter on the internet that Jey Uso was not ready. A lot of fans did not like it, but man, you look at the audience there, and I called up my friend the man 0001 who was live there in attendance, and he said, yeah, everyone was lit for that entrance, and it looked like it, absolutely. So when it came to the match, Jey Uso is doing actually a lot of new moves. So that's one of the biggest complaints about Jey Uso is that, oh man, what's going on when he does a lot of the moves, just a lot of super kick spamming and splashes and Samoan drops. Well, here he was breaking out some of Gunther's repertoire with German suplexes, power bombs, and Gunther kept trying to put him away, and that was kind of like the story of the match. Jey Uso proving that he can do more than those 5 to 6 moves that people claim he can only do. And I will say this was better than their match that they had on Saturday night's main event. The crowd, he didn't sound as intense, which seemed to be maybe like sort of something that was going on all night. Maybe it was the audio engineering, not sure on that part. But overall, in the end, the biggest thing that I really liked about the storytelling aspect of this match is that Jey Uso, he ends up hitting Gunther with a power bomb, and then he gets the German suplex, and after that after he does the German suplex, he ends up going in for the splashes, the big Samoan, the big splashes off the top rope, and he ends up putting Gunther in the sleeper, which is of course Gunther's submission move. And after that, Gunther, he ends up tapping out, having been warned out too much by Jey Uso to get the big win. Overall, the match, definitely, I was saying, did not feel like a WrestleMania main event. It was better than some of their matches, but not the best that I've seen, I would say, out of Gunther's matches. But overall, I do respect Jey Uso trying some new moves, and I really enjoyed the story because that was the whole idea. Gunther constantly telling Jey Uso that he's a clown, he's a goof, coming out doing the dancing and yimple, like the yeeting, right? What did he say? Simple gestures for simple people. And the irony of it all in the story is that Gunther taps out for the first time on the main roster to Jey Uso. Jey Uso basically out-wrestled Gunther. I really like that. Overall, I don't think I'm really clamoring to see these two wrestle again. We've had it 4 times, but this match gave the desired outcome, and it didn't feel like a waste of time, because how many times, and I mentioned this going back to the Royal Rumble 2025 review, how many times during Vince McMahon's later era did we see someone like Jey Uso, whether it been a guy or a gal, who got really hot with the audience, they're selling merch, they're pushing the audience, they're selling tickets, they're showing all the signs there that tell you the people want this person as their guy, as their girl, and Vince McMahon, for whatever reason, did not push them. Well, here in Triple H's era of booking, we are seeing that. Jey Uso, he has steadily gotten huge reactions from the audience. He has gotten a huge amount of merchandise sold. Like I said, when I went to the Royal Rumble out there in Indianapolis, there was Jey Uso merch everywhere. There was people yeeting here and people yeeting there, everywhere. And it's clear that the audience, at least the paying audience, I would say, that's coming out in attendance, they paid for Jey Uso here to see him, and it was a huge moment. And as someone who's been following Jey Uso's career since him and Jimmy, along with Tamina, debuted back in 2010, so 15 years now, it's so great to see Jey Uso win the championship. That is just fantastic. I'm all glad for it, and I'm very proud to see Jey Uso. You gotta know Rikishi's a proud papa. Jey Uso truly has come a long way. All right, so the next match was for the WWE World Tag Team Championships. The War Raiders, consisting of Ivar and Eric, versus the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. So, in all honesty, I thought the heel turn for the New Day was tremendous stuff. But then for the next several months, for whatever reason, Triple H and his booking crew, they didn't do much with the New Day. They were putting them with promos, but they just really weren't, I feel like, capitalizing off of it. And I thought there was a better build-up with the tag team on the SmackDown division side of things, because at least they were taking all these different tag teams and they were building them up. And I'm like, this is good. This is probably heading towards a major match at WrestleMania for a multi-man match, and that makes sense because it's been building up. But instead, we're getting a TLC match on the next SmackDown after WrestleMania, and instead, it kind of felt like, wasn't like the last 2 weeks or something, this match came together. So yeah, there just wasn't a lot of build up, and I like both of these teams. I love both of these teams, War Raiders, the New Day, but I think you felt it in this match because the crowd heat for this match sound very low. And I did text the man 0001 who was there in attendance, and he was like, it's okay, which for coming from somebody who was actually there in person, yeah, that's the way it came across on TV. The audience was not loud, and I just think that this goes back to the importance is that a little bit of story goes a long way. Had Triple H and his booking crew went ahead and decided to build up the New Day and the War Raiders and create a big story with them heading in, several weeks into WrestleMania, I think this match could have had a lot more crowd heat with it. But overall, I thought these guys, they went out there and they put on, I thought, which was a decent match. I mean, what was it? I think it was Eric. He was trying to get the audience really much into it. He did some impressive stuff, but in the end, the New Day ends up getting the victory. I think they prevented the War Raiders from hitting their finishing move, and then Xavier, he gets the pin on, was it Ivar, I think, because Kofi Kingston's holding his feet down, and then 1, 2, 3. So decent match, but I kind of, and I put it here in my notes, decent TV level match, but not a WrestleMania level match, which was one of my complaints about last year's WrestleMania when it came to, I think it was Andrade and Rey Mysterio versus who was it? I forget the match. It was a tag team match he was in with his son Dominic and, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name, Escobar. Yeah, Santos Escobar. Yeah, I thought that was a decent match, but not a WrestleMania level match. And yeah, this kind of didn't feel like it, and it was just really hard for the audience to get invested. But hey, I'm glad these guys got a huge spotlight in the New Day. They're a 12-time world champion. Tag team champion, and you definitely need to put the tag team championships on the New Day to really justify the heel turn. And I think you build it up really good, let them get a lot of heat, build up some interesting storylines. This is a perfect opportunity to take a new upcoming tag team or rebuild a current tag team on the roster and use them as the good guys for us to want to see the bad guys in the New Day get overcome and everything. But I will say it's very telling the fact that Big E did not come out on this, because I'm thinking, okay, if they're putting this on WrestleMania, then that means that maybe we're getting a big moment like Xavier would, like Big E coming out and gonna lay the New Day out or something and help the War Raiders win. But nah, so who knows if we'll ever see Big E in the ring. But you know what? More importantly is Big E's health. And as long as Big E is healthy, by all means, that is the most important thing. Now, I did put in my notes, though, that I do have to give praise to Kofi Kingston. Very much shades of when he first won the tag team titles, the New Day, with a hilarious celebration. When they won the titles, Kofi Kingston had this big old smile on his face. He's like, when they had the titles, and that boy was gone, because that is a long rap at WrestleMania that they used, and Kofi Kingston went ahead and ran right up that ramp, man, and he wasn't even tired either. So just contesting it to the condition. So yeah, I just wish this match had more story going into it, to just make it feel like a bigger deal. All right, so we get to our next match, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Oh man, now this was actually, I would say there are 4 matches that I've been looking forward to the most. Both triple threat matches with the women and the men, the main event for night 2, and this one right here. These were like my top 4 most matches I was looking forward to, and me being such a story guy, this one absolutely had a fantastic story, absolute build up, great story build up, and man, these two ladies went out there and did their thing. So many great moments. Naomi, she had hit an X Factor on the outside of the ring to Jade Cargill when her feet was hanging from the apron. That was really awesome. At one point in the match, Naomi jumps off the top rope and Jade Cargill catches her in mid-air and turns it into a jackhammer. That got me out of my seat. Like, oh, I'm like, that was pretty sick. And she did it so smooth too. Just, man, fantastic. Really smoothly well done. And then at one point, there's another point where Naomi jumps off of the apron again, and only to land on top of Jade, where she ends up catching her and turning it into a fallaway slam. So I thought that was really, really impressive. There's a cool moment on the top rope where Naomi turns it into a bulldog from the very top when Jade Cargill was trying to pick up Naomi and everything. So that was really cool. Now in the end, Jade lifts Naomi up in the sitting position on her shoulder. So Naomi is sort of sitting on Jade Cargill's shoulders. And then from there, she kind of like swings Naomi around in midair and manages to turn around, to face her stomach wise so she can catch her, and turns it into a power bomb. All this in midair, and she picks up the win. 1, 2, 3. I put in my notes the absolute timing. The timing on that was fantastic, that Jade Cargill was able to do that, make it look fantastic, make it look flashy, and do it soon enough and easy enough to make sure that, or I should say safely enough, to make sure that Naomi didn't get hurt. This couldn't have come off any better. It is amazing. Jade Cargill has come so far compared to what she was in AEW, and I'm a fan of her AEW work, but I just think coming to WWE, she's gotten only that much better. And Naomi has always been great. I've been ride or die fan of Naomi since she first came to NXT in 2010. It's crazy. 15 years Naomi's been around, but yeah, this was fantastic. I thought this was like pretty much the first match that kind of like really made me feel like, wow, this was awesome. Like this is good. Definitely Naomi's best, it's got to be probably one of Naomi's best matches, but certainly Jade Cargill's best match in WWE to date, and I can't wait to seeing her further develop in WWE. This was the first ever, I believe, singles women's match that had no gimmick to it, so yeah, it's great. And I should mention that Naomi got a new entrance, and honestly, Def Rebel, they thought they knocked it out of the park on this. This was so good, and I just really love how much Naomi has gone ahead and reinvented herself. I love the tribute that she's doing to Owen Hart with the caution signs back when Owen Hart was back in 98 doing the whole enough is enough and it's time for a change gimmick and everything. So that's really cool. Just showing you that Naomi's a student of the game and everything, giving an all-time legend to Owen Hart. Rest in peace. So yeah, overall, that was absolutely fantastic. So definitely this match, I thought, not only lived up to expectation, it exceeded expectations. I was hoping for a really good match, and honestly, I left with an even better match than I could have even hoped for when it came to Naomi versus Jade Cargill. All right, so our next match was for the WWE United States Championship. LA Knight, defending the title against Jacob Fatu, the Samoan werewolf. Audience was really hot for both these guys, Jacob and LA Knight, so that was really cool. It's cool to see LA Knight getting featured once again on the WrestleMania card when 2 years ago he was left off, so he's gotten 2 back-to-back matches. So overall, this match was good. I have here in my notes, basically, Jacob Fatu was using a lot of his power to overwhelm LA Knight, even no-selling one of his moves at one point where LA Knight got him down, and LA Knight's looking like, no way, and Jacob Fatu's just looking intense, just looking like a total freaking beast. And then Jacob Fatu, he's using a lot of them. He's basically showing this ridiculous amount of athleticism that he's able to do, popping up LA Knight right into the air for a Samoan drop. At one point, Jacob Fatu is trying to go for a moonsault by climbing to the top rope, but LA Knight from his feet leaps onto the top ropes to deliver a German suplex that flips Jacob completely onto his stomach. That got the audience wow. I was like, oh man. So it was really cool to see these guys were really breaking out, I felt like all the stops here to really put on a WrestleMania worthy match. And then from there, there's a point where the fans are just chanting both of them, LA Knight, Fatu, LA Knight, Fatu. So I mean, just how popular these guys are. And then Jacob Fatu, he does a moonsault, and this was probably one of the sickest parts of the whole match. Jacob Fatu, he does a moonsault, and in midair, LA Knight is able to counter it with the BFT. The audience came unglued. It looked so smooth, so good. I was like, wow, I did not see that coming, because if you think about it too, and this is why it shows you things matter, because Jacob Fatu rarely is countered by his moonsault, but this is the one time it did, and it's fantastic because it really made LA Knight look like he was on a whole other level than what other Jacob Fatu's opponents were, because he did his homework, he did his game, he studied it and everything. So that was really cool. I really love that aspect aspect of the fighting of the match. And then in the end, Jacob Fatu, he kicks LA Knight in the ankle, causing LA Knight to land on the top rope. From there, Jacob jumps up to the top rope and turns himself into midair to land back first to LA Knight's back, followed by going up for another moonsault from the top rope to LA Knight in the middle of the canvas to score the 1-2-3 victory. And he started spamming those moonsaults. And yeah, LA Knight's then greeted by the all-time legend Haku to celebrate him winning the WWE United States Championship. Excellent match between these two. One of the best LA Knight matches I think we've ever seen in WWE, and certainly Jacob Fatu's best match to date. Fantastic. I thought these guys, they delivered. It was a heck of a match. Both guys wanting to make the most of their WrestleMania moment, and I think they absolutely did it. This is a great debut for Jacob Fatu. To think that before WrestleMania last year, he was the guy in the audience, hoping to get that opportunity, and 1 year later, he is made the most of that opportunity. He's the one in the ring, and I thought that was fantastic. Absolutely just fantastic. So definitely much props up to LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. All right, so next up was Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano. All right, so yeah, Rey Fenix versus El Grande Americano, who we obviously know is Chad Gable, but I love this whole gimmick. This is absolutely hilarious. It is really old school wrestling and everything. I think Chad Gable's doing a great job portraying the delusional American that thinks he is of the lucha culture and that he knows everything. Even the video package they had, they broke out. I told my friends, like, yo, they broke out the old Kai and Tai voiceover gimmick. If you all remember Kai and Tai, Takamichinoku, and Funaki, when they would come out, they would do the whole "indeed" and "we are evil," which I guess I heard was maybe Shane McMahon. If not, it was someone back there doing the voiceovers. It was their way, and it didn't age really well nowadays, but it was their way of basically trying to make fun of stereotypes about dubs back in the 1970s for a lot of kung fu movies where the mouth movements weren't matching the voice. This one looked like it did a better job of nearly matching it, but you could tell with someone doing the voiceover as if it wasn't Chad Gable, basically, to make it not sound like him. I thought this was funny. The entrance was hilarious, making it look like really old school, so definitely making the most of this. So Rey Mysterio was legitimately hurt the previous night on SmackDown, which actually reminds me of something Jon Moxley said about what he was afraid of happening. And this is shortly after he left WWE to AEW. It may have been on Chris Jericho's podcast. I don't remember. Correct me in the comments or in the live chat if I'm wrong, but I know the biggest thing that Jon Moxley was concerning was he was saying, why have these guys and gals go out there and risk themselves just days before WrestleMania? And that's what ended up happening. Rey Mysterio got injured, so hopefully Rey gets well soon. So he's replaced with Rey Fenix, who obviously is fresh from AEW. So huge opportunity for Rey Fenix to actually go out there on the biggest stage, WrestleMania. So I was happy for him in that sense. We had Vikingo, who I think I remember in AEW, and so maybe he is coming to WWE soon, it looks like. And so he ends up kicking El Grande Americano right in the face, and then from there, El Grande, he ends up getting into the ring, but when the match starts, he tosses the crap out of Rey Fenix almost halfway across the ring turnbuckle with the belly-to-belly suplex, and then he goes for what I thought was a moonsault at first, but then in midair, he does another flip, so it's basically a 540 splash, the commentators were calling it. Sick. It made me go like, oh man, it was fantastic. Rey Fenix, he eventually jumps off the top rope, kicking El Grande Americano in the face, and the momentum actually sends Rey Fenix flying to the other side of the ring. I was like, dang, he put his all into that kick, and when he lands, he's selling the foot. And what ended up happening, basically, and I love this part of the gimmick that he does as well. Basically, Chad takes a metal plate and sticks it in his mask towards the forehead so that the referee doesn't see it. And that's basically what the story was, and I was cracking up, is that Rey Fenix, he kicked him so hard in the foot that it ended up messing his foot because he's basically kicking metal. And from there, El Grande Americano Americano, does a headbutt to Rey Fenix, and then does the flying headbutt off the top rope with the metal plate in the mask to win. And there you go. Chad Gable, unfortunately, not getting his, at least visually, without the mask. Chad Gable without a mask, not getting a WrestleMania moment, but El Grande Americano did. I love it. I thought it was hilarious. Rey Fenix actually does lose, because I'm assuming Rey Mysterio was the one who was designed to probably lose, but unfortunately it looks like they had to have Rey take the pinfall, but I'm pretty sure he's happy, or Phoenix, that is, Rey Fenix. I'm pretty sure he's happy to at least have gotten a WrestleMania moment. And so overall, I thought the match was funny. It definitely brought the entertainment value, I think, of WrestleMania. So each match on this card felt different, and that's something I do appreciate. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about this. It was a fun match. Now, something that, shout out to my boy Aaron Riff on NoDQ.com, he suggested he think it'd be great if Sami Zayn returns as El Generico, and he ends up taking on Chad Gable as El Grande Americano. Like, that would actually be pretty funny. That would be great. I think I would love to see that. That would be absolutely. But yeah, this gimmick is hilarious, and hey, I'm glad Rey Fenix went from not being utilized on AEW television to a featured match at WrestleMania 41. So that was awesome. And then from there, the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, who had to be absolutely tired if you watch the WWE Hall of Fame, because out here in the Central Time Zone, he went on to almost 3 a.m. and then he had to get back up, which would have been 1 a.m. his time out there in Las Vegas. Had to be up by 5 a.m. to run the whole NXT show, and then he's still there for WrestleMania. So as you can see there in the screenshot, he kind of spoiled what he was out there for. But yeah, basically, he's there to announce the attendance was sold out of 61,467 there in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, announced for WrestleMania 41. It looked packed. Whether they sold out or not, I mean, I guess you can go to Ticketmaster to see if there was tickets left, but hey, I ain't gonna argue with them. The place looked absolutely stacked in terms of the audience there, so WWE still being able to draw even with the high ticket price sales, so that was really great to see, and everything, just how much WWE can bring people around the world together for WrestleMania. Alright, so next up we had what was probably, you could say, the co-main event of the evening for the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. All right, so the entrances right off the bat, Tiffany Stratton comes out in a very much Barbie doll inspired entrance. It was pretty cool, and the audience, you could hear the loud cheers. They were very much for Tiffany Stratton in this match. And then you get Charlotte Flair, and she comes out in what I had to think was a really cool robe, pink and blue robe. Ironically, both her and Tiffany Stratton are wearing blue and pink in the match, and the stadium sounds basically that they are very much for Tiffany Stratton, because man, they were absolutely booing Charlotte Flair through this match. And for the most part, when we get to the bell ringing, they started just going ham fighting. Like, it was not very elegant looking. They were saying, oh, this is going to be ugly, and they wanted to play off, them using real life shots fired in their promos. So it was pretty much a brawl in the first part of the match. But as you get into the middle part of the match, basically Charlotte Flair, she gets the upper hand, and the audience is very audible about booing her and chanting Charlotte sucks. So you definitely hear that, even though they were quiet, at least it sounds quiet during certain parts of this match. And so from there, for the most of the middle, yeah, Charlotte Flair, Tiffany does make slight comebacks in the middle of the match, but keeps getting taken down by Charlotte Flair, and Charlotte looks to be getting visibly frustrated at not being able to put Tiffany away, which was a common running theme throughout the match. And she's just cursing at her at one point, dropping B-bombs at her and continuing the chop. And Tiffany, she does lay a couple of nice spine busters in on Charlotte Flair during this portion of the match, but then Charlotte Flair would keep kind of just taking back over the match and controlling it. It was kind of a slower paced match than usually what you see, I would say, out of these two and everything, but it kept going, but they kept it going. That's what I will say. It kept it going, and I'm not saying that was bad. I think that's one of the things that might hold this match back from previous matches we've seen them with both of the other ones in. At one point, it looked like this match was going to turn the tide when Charlotte is pushed off the rope, landing on her feet, as it seemed like Tiffany was going to end for the kill on Charlotte's surgically repaired leg. And I'm thinking like, okay, she's going to be a shark in the water and everything, but this is short-lived, only because Charlotte then starts working on Tiffany's leg, and I think for the rest of the match, Charlotte didn't really sell the leg until Tiffany went back to it. So they did this moment like it was going to be a big part of the story, and like, okay, now how can Charlotte try and overcome Tiffany with his leg? But like I said, it really wasn't much going on. It's like the story was just dropped, like she must have just shook it off or something and the leg was good again. So yeah, they kind of like they were teasing something for the match, but then it didn't go. And then from there, the audience was at this point kind of sounding really quiet for most of the part of the match, at least on TV. Once again, if it was different there, if you attended the show live, please let me know in the comments section if you're watching this on demand or in the comments in live chat. And it became more audible though when Charlotte locks in the figure eight, because that's when people are going like, oh boy, is this going to be it? Are they going to make her tap out? You know, getting shades of WrestleMania 34 WrestleMania 34 when Asuka tapped out, and there goes the streak. So from there, Tiffany's able to battle out by attacking Charlotte's knee, as I was mentioning earlier. From there, we get our first big near fall when Tiffany lands the prettiest moonsault ever, only to get countered by landing. Oh, I guess she didn't technically land it, right? She got countered by Charlotte Flair's knees, and Charlotte goes for the inside cradle to Tiffany, 1, 2, and Tiffany kicks out. And at that point, everybody was like, oh, you know, because like I said, this audience, they definitely wanted to see Tiffany Stratton win the match. Charlotte Flair, she lands a natural selection jumping from the top rope, but it gets only a near fall, so that was a really cool match. As we get to the end of the match, Charlotte Flair, she gets irate, and she's grabbing to Tiffany by the head, yelling to no one will replace me. And usually when they do things like this in matches, it's a really tell sign, and especially when the match has been going on a long time, it's a tell sign that the person getting that frustrated is probably going to lose. Think about John Cena getting super overconfident, doing the whole people's elbow against The Rock only to catch The Rock bottom. Or think about even more recently, Rhea Ripley basically nearly putting Io Sky away just to trash talk Bianca like, I'll see you at WrestleMania, and then boom, Io Sky picked the win. So this is when I'm like, oh snap, I think my pick might win here. My pick might win. So as the match goes on from there, Tiffany fights back, and she eventually is able to get Charlotte Flair with the Alabama Slammer into the corner of the turnbuckle, and she then hits the prettiest moonsault ever for the 1, 2, 3 to successfully retain the WWE Championship, Women's Championship. And man, I got out of my seat and I was like, yes, man. I thought Charlotte was gonna win. I honestly thought she was gonna win. And even in the no DQ predictions lead, I messaged them in the group chat saying that, yeah, I mean, Charlotte's probably gonna win, but that's what my mind was telling me. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go with what my heart tells me. And my heart tells me that in reality, here in 2025, go with the upstart 25-year-old who can use someone like the star power of Charlotte Flair, what she's accomplished, as she can use the win a lot more. And that's what they did here. And I'm glad to see Triple H go with the absolute right decision. I mean, think about all the time over the years when we thought Charlotte Flair should have probably lost, like Asuka. Like, why kill the momentum of Asuka's winning streak when you can tell a big story? Even especially, like I said, at the time, Ronda Rousey was there. You could have maybe had Ronda in the streak after 1 year building Ronda up as a monster and continuing to build Asuka as a monster, but they squandered all of that. And thankfully, Asuka made a huge comeback for her career. She's had an amazing career. Think about, there was times when like Rhea Ripley lost to Charlotte, and thankfully Rhea made the comeback. And that's the thing about it. I don't think it would have been it for for Tiffany if she lost. That definitely she could have made that comeback, but I'm glad that they're doing what Aaron Riff often says on his channel, NoDQ.com, strike while the iron is hot. This is absolutely the right decision. This does not hurt Charlotte Flair, and I think that's what a lot of people have said over the years, is that it does not hurt Charlotte Flair to get a loss like this. This is the right move, establishing Tiffany Stratton. So they did the opposite of what they did with Rhea Ripley, because I think Rhea Ripley was 25 at the time, lost to Charlotte Flair, and then came back 3 years later and got the win. No, they're going to wait. So now it's going to be nice to see that maybe by the time time Tiffany gets the age that Rhea Ripley was when she finally did get the big clean win over Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 39 2 years ago, is that now Tiffany can be a lot more further. We don't have to utilize the next 2 to 3 years, or see WWE utilize the next 2 to 3 years to build up Tiffany Stratton. Now they can just use this momentum, because obviously you hear the audience, the fans love Tiffany Stratton, and you can build her up as one of the future big stars of the women's division. So I thought it was great. Well, yeah, I thought Tiffany going over great. The match overall, the match was solid. I think it was solid. I didn't like it as much as the Rhea match that Charlotte had 2 years ago, but overall it was a solid enough good match that I thought, hey, both women worked as best they could and everything, but it did the absolute right outcome, and this is what I'd like to see more of, and I'm glad that Triple H is delivering stuff like this. It sees that, okay, Charlotte Flair is established, and how we can use her establishment to help build up upcoming young talent like Tiffany Stratton. So absolutely the right move. Overall, though, I do think it was definitely one of the better matches on this show. So yeah, definitely not a bad match at all. Not a bad match at all. Good, really good from both of these two women. All right, so next they brought out the WWE Hall of Famers of 2025, which I actually did enjoy. The show was long, and personally, I think WWE should really, instead of cramming 4 matches or 4 events into 24 hours, they should spread them out. Maybe Wednesday, the Hall of Fame. Thursday can be NXT Stand and Deliver. Friday, the SmackDown Go Home edition for WrestleMania, and then Saturday, WrestleMania Night 1, Sunday, WrestleMania Night 2, and then Monday, the Raw after. Instead, they're cramming 4 events into one show, and like, yeah, there are people clowning some of the talent for falling asleep, but I mean, hey, they got to get their rest. They got a big show to do and everything. So yeah, but overall, it was great to see all these legends come out and get their just dues and everything. Also, I'm always gonna pop versus my all-time favorite. You see the shirt there, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah, it was always great to see him, and great to see Triple H, someone who I grew up and seeing, you know, around that whole time as well. So just really great. I enjoyed the Hall of Fame, by the way, though. Everybody really gave some good speeches. Michelle McCool, very inspiring speech. Triple H, awesome speech as well. Stone Cold, always entertaining. Great to see Bret Hart. Everything, man. Just really great to see all the talents and everything. And now we get to the main event of night 1. CM Punk with Paul Heyman versus Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. All right, so just right off the bat, the entrances were absolutely on point. Seth Rollins, he comes out in what had to be a very inspired WrestleMania 25 entrance from Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. So in it, Seth Rollins comes out first in black, and then the lights go out, and the lights come back on, and now he's dressed in all white. So that was really cool. And then we got the Roman Reigns coming out basically in phenomenal shape, comes out with white gloves, white boots. He's also making history, as this is his 10th time main eventing WrestleMania. Of course, he main evented more WrestleManias than anyone else in history last year by getting his 9th one, but now 10, just far more established there. So technically, I guess you could nearly say that Roman Reigns has main evented nearly 1/4, pretty much 1/4 of WrestleMania main events. And when you think about it, there's been 41, and he's main evented 10 out of the 41 WrestleMania. So that's really cool there. And during the entrance, they had these really cool images on these LED boards that were hanging above, showcasing all the greats of the Anoa'i Samoan lineage, which, hey, was a good night for them for sure, until we get to the ending main event here, that is. So yeah, from there, a pre-entrance video promo plays showcasing CM Punk's road to finally main eventing WrestleMania to his old WWE theme song, This Fire Still Burns by Kill Switch Engage. Man, that was awesome. I popped loudly for that, because yeah, that's around the time I first started following CM Punk's career. So I mean, I've been following him since I was a teenager and everything. I could just really relate to him because myself, I'm straight edge. So when CM Punk came out on being straight edge and he doesn't smoke, drink, or do drugs, I'm like, oh, I can identify with this guy, and I'm still him to this day and everything. And I've been my whole life, honestly. So that was really cool. And then from there, we get Living Color. They're live in person singing CM Punk to the ring for WrestleMania, which was really awesome, because check it out. During CM Punk's last WrestleMania match back at WrestleMania, I think it was 29 in 2013, that was CM Punk's last WrestleMania match, and Living Color sings chained him to the ring. And now here in his most recent WrestleMania matches of this live stream in 2025, Living Color back to do the same thing for his next WrestleMania match 12 years later. So I thought that was awesome. Really great to see the legendary Living Color. And CM Punk also comes out in a gray hoodie, just like he did back in that 2012/2013 period that Paul Heyman was managing him. So that was really awesome. So the match starts off with CM Punk exiting the ring and Seth Rollins trying to manipulate Roman's mind about how Punk shouldn't be in this match, which is really weird in the beginning. Like CM Punk, like, have you ever seen anybody so irritated and upset to be main eventing in WrestleMania? He doesn't deserve to be here, is what Seth Rollins kept saying in the early portion of the build-up, and I'm like, you're main eventing WrestleMania, doesn't matter, right? So that was an interesting decision they made in that story that I didn't quite get. But I guess they're trying to say that's how upset Seth Rollins is with CM Punk, is that he's neglecting the whole idea that, hey, you're main eventing WrestleMania. You know, it's like someone gives you $5 million, you inherited $5 million, and someone else inherits $5 million, and you're like, whoa, he doesn't deserve $5 million, but you got $5 million, especially if the other $5 million was never meant for you. So if you weren't going to get $10 million regardless, be happy with your $5 million, right? So yeah, that's kind of what I thought it was. But as far as the match though, starts off really hilarious when Roman basically smacks Seth Rollins down to the canvas, and then the three battle it out, and it eventually pours into the audience where CM Punk gets hit in the back of the head with a trash can. I'm surprised they're doing spots like that to the head, but then it comes back to Seth Rollins. Then he comes back to Seth Rollins with a suplex on that same very trash can on the concrete. So if you grew up an Attitude Era fan like me, then you knew this type of stuff right here was just commonplace. Eventually you see CM Punk and Seth Rollins, they're battling closer to the ringside area, which then leaves Roman Reigns to do this amazing running leapfrog all over the barricade. Yeah, he does his leapfrog over the barricade, taking out both CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and they showed it in slow motion. Looked like something out of a superhero movie, man. Like, he came in like a superhero flying. That was really awesome, and that was getting the audience. And I will say this, the audience definitely felt alive for this entire matches. I kind of knew it. Yeah, it was hard to tell who would be the heel because everybody, they just loved him. They were always singing Seth Rollins' song, singing Roman Reigns, Roman Reigns, right? That's taken from the international audience, and it's poured over here into the American audience, and then, you know, there was always the CM Punk. So yeah, the audience was just taking turns, you know, cheering for these all three of these guys. And so eventually, yeah, from there in the action, it finally gets back into the ring, and CM Punk, he tries to go for a running knee to Roman Reigns, but Roman catches him and turns it into a Samoan drop, and Seth Rollins then jumps off the top of the ring ropes, only then landing right into a smack from Roman Reigns. So Roman taking both these guys out basically. So Samoan drop to CM Punk, and then a smack to Seth Rollins, who tried to sneak attack, but to no avail. And then from there, CM Punk, he eventually gets some momentum in the match by delivering back-to-back multiple knees to the corners of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and then he lands a backdrop in DDT at the same time to Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And Seth Rollins particularly, he sold the crap out of this, man. It was just, have you guys ever seen the one where Shawn Michaels is selling and he completely goes on his head and flips over to his back, but someone takes the screenshot where like he's just standing on his head? It's crazy. So crazy sell job by Seth Rollins. We get a really cool Doomsday device tribute to the Legion of Doom when Roman gets Seth Rollins on his shoulders to try and stop him from attacking CM Punk, because he's trying to take advantage of Seth Rollins in this moment, and CM Punk takes the opportunity, does the clothesline. So yeah, it turns it into a Doomsday device. And then from there, CM Punk, he eventually gets a Uranagi and the Anaconda device on Roman Reigns, which is interrupted by Seth Rollins doing a frog splash to score a near fall. So there was just so much crazy back and forth sequences in this match that I thought was really awesome. Roman Reigns, during these moments, Paul Heyman's facial expressions are absolutely on point during this sequence, and pretty much during the entire match. Alright, so yeah, there is an excellent sequence that calls back to Roman and Seth Rollins' previous matches over the years, where Roman goes for the spear, but Seth Rollins jumps up to counter it into a pedigree. He does the curb stomp to Roman Reigns, and then from there, He kicks he kicks CM Punk out of the ring and goes for the pinfall, only to get a near fall. And Wade Barrett on commentary was absolutely brilliant here, because he talked about how, if you look at it, the fact that Roman kicked out barely at 3 means, had maybe Seth Rollins not kicked CM Punk out of the ring, he maybe would have gotten that extra second he needed. So that was really awesome to see. Just really great attention to detail. I love when they have those attentions to detail and stuff. From there, we get another awesome sequence where CM Punk dodges out of the way to let Roman Reigns spear Seth Rollins, and then he nails GTS to Roman Reigns to get another near fall. Seth Rollins even didn't land a pedigree. He then lands a pedigree, I think. Yeah, he then lands another pedigree for another near fall. So the near falls were going crazy. Audience was totally invested in this. I was on the edge of my seat as well, because really, when you think about it, all 3 of these guys were established. Anyone could win, honestly, but there's not like, hey, these guys need to really win this match to be further established. They've made their place in history. CM Punk, he just won the main event WrestleMania, so it could be anyone's game as I was watching this match. And so from there, we get another awesome sequence where, so from there, it was Seth Rollins. He starts talking to Roman. Seth Rollins starts talking to Roman Reigns about how he's alone without Paul Heyman, without the Bloodline, without even Jon Moxley. So yes, we got a Jon Moxley reference on WWE programming. And then he tells Roman that they both need to work together to take out CM Punk. And this is where the story aspect of the match was really going to it. The story aspect of the match was fantastic, because you knew you had 3 of the best storytellers in the ring going at it here. So Roman Reigns, he basically teases that he is going to let Seth Rollins know that we're going for the old Shield bomb. So he tells him, he just starts hyping over. He's like, get him up, get him up, get him up. But instead, Roman, he smacks Seth Rollins to the ground, and he power bombs both men individually through the 2 announce tables that are out there. Fantastic stuff. And Roman Reigns, like, he's gonna do it all on his own. And what happens from that moment is that I legitimately thought the match was gonna end here. Roman throws Seth Rollins into the ring, hits him with the spear, only to get the 1, 2.5 count. I was like, oh man, I'm like, okay, they had me there. That was a great near fall, and once again, had me even further on the edge of my seat, to the point where, oh snap, I gotta watch myself so I don't fall out the chair. So the audience was very much invested into this. From here, we get some more great storytelling moments as Roman Reigns, he trash talks about the favor, puts CM Punk in the guillotine, only for CM Punk to counter into the Anaconda Vice, which then is broken up by Seth Rollins, who then puts the sharpshooter and flips CM Punk off. They black it out, but he puts the sharpshooter off, sort of his nod to Stone Cold, I guess, and Bret Hart, since they went into the Hall of Fame for that match, only for Roman Reigns to break it up and puts himself, from here, he gets put into the Anaconda Vice by by CM Punk, which then you see him get pumped up for the curb. You see him get hit with the curb stomp by Seth Rollins to score, once again, another near fall. Apologize for my notes. I do voice to texting while I'm watching the matches and everything, so some of these words are not coming out right. Yikes. But I believe it happened for the most part like this. Definitely check it out, though, with your own eyes in this whole match, because this match is definitely worth going back seeing it. It was a crazy sequence. Eventually, all 3 men are knocked down after seeing CM Punk. He hits CM Punk hits the GTS, and then Roman hits the spear. So the way the sequence goes, CM Punk, he hits the GTS to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns hits the spear, I think, and then Seth Rollins goes to the ground. But before Seth Rollins can go to the ground, he does the curb stop to Roman Reigns. Then all 3 men are eventually down. That's the way it was. Roman got hit with the GTS, and then from there, he hit Seth Rollins with Seth Rollins got hit with the Roman hit CM Punk with a spear, and then as Roman was on the ground to try and go for the pin, Seth Rollins came back with a curb stomp. I'm getting it all mixed up. It was just a lot to keep track of in notes here and everything, but there were some crazy sequences. After this, Paul Heyman grabs a steel chair, and this is where the audience goes like, oh, because we know we're about to see something going down here. CM Punk and Roman Reigns looking at Paul Heyman, and he's got the steel chair, and he's contemplating what to do, and eventually he gives the chair over to C Punk. And from there, when CM Punk gets that chair and is about to go ahead and hit Roman with it, you see Paul Heyman bend down and he gives CM Punk the low blow, and the audience is like, oh, and from there, man, as CM Punk is on the ground holding his balls after Paul Heyman has turned on him again, because he turned him on him before, I think back in like 2013 to join Brock when Brock came back. Roman Reigns is smiling, and and from there, Paul Heyman, he gets on the ground, on his knee. He kneels down in front of Roman Reigns, said, "You are my tribal chief," and hands the steel chair over to Roman. Roman then just starts going ham with the steel chair on CM Punk, just wearing him out. And then Paul Heyman points over to Seth Rollins, who's getting back up, crawling just like last year to the ropes to help himself up. And he starts yelling. He's like, "You go ahead." He says, "Now's your chance. Get your revenge." He just starts pointing at him. "Get your revenge on him. Get your revenge on Seth Rollins." And I'm thinking here, I'm like, no, that cost you last year, Roman. I'm thinking at the chair as a fan. I'm like, yeah, that cost you last year, Roman. So you knew something was up here. And so just as Roman's about to go ahead for that shot in the back again, you end up getting Paul Heyman, who now kneels down and gives a low blow to Roman Reigns, turning on him again, because I think he turned on him again during the Brock Lesnar feud, and then he went back to Roman Reigns for good until now. And the audience is like, oh, and then from there, Paul Heyman, he smiles, because before when he was going after CM Punk, he was crying and making like, "Oh, look what you made me do. You made me turn on my tribal chief." And then Roman Reigns, from there, he gets more smug and he's like, And Seth Rollins is then smiling, and he hands the chair over to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins then takes the chair and bam, hits Roman Reigns right in the back of the chair, just like back in 2014 when he ended up, selling out to the Authority. And it's from here that Seth Rollins is able to get the 1, 2, 3 and win the main event of WrestleMania 41 Night 1. And from here, the audience was cheering. They were singing Seth Rollins' song, and they were going crazy for this. So it certainly, they did not react. The audience didn't react like this was a heel turn for Seth Rollins, but the commentators, they were going ham on the commentary. They were losing their minds, talking about how you're a no good SOB. How could you do that to your best friends, Roman and CM Punk and everything? But when you look at the story, I mean, when Roman Reigns, where was he? Where was Roman Reigns when he was getting tortured by Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline last year? Roman took a long time to come back, and he wouldn't answer any of Paul Heyman's text messages. And even then, when Seth Rollins was threatening Paul Heyman, why did it take CM Punk so long to come out there? So it looks like definitely Seth Rollins probably got back into Paul Heyman's head. I at the last minute changed my prediction to Roman Reigns, thinking I guess they're going to give Roman Reigns a big win to have him get a win back from last year, but I should have stuck with my original pick, Seth Rollins. It's just the problem with that in the story is I felt like Triple H in the booking and his booking team, they were making the creative for this. They were making it look too obvious. Like it looked like, okay, if you look at this, he's not going to go with CM Punk, he's not going to go with Roman Reigns, he's going to join Seth Rollins, but they kept making it look so obvious, and I'm like, no way they're going to go with it. But they did. They went with the very predictable and obvious route, and you know what? Predictability, ladies and gentlemen, is not always a bad thing. So it works. The story absolutely works, and I'm guessing Roman Reigns, we probably won't see him again until SummerSlam, and CM Punk is still going to be featured in big matches, and him and Seth Rollins' feud is probably not over, obviously. And so we get there, and there you have it. Seth Rollins, he is now going to be aligned with Paul Heyman, meaning Paul Heyman will probably now be full-time on the main roster there. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm assuming that maybe eventually we'll see him and Braun Breaker maybe end up as a union or something like that. But yeah, the show ends with Seth Rollins leaving with Paul Heyman smirking, and Roman Reigns and CM Punk, as they go into like the post-show, they just look absolutely dejected. Roman Reigns, he's lost his wise man. CM Punk looks absolutely dejected. He lost his best friend. As Roman goes up the ramp, they play his music. As CM Punk goes up the ramp, they play his music. But in reality, I kind of figured CM Punk wasn't going to win this match, because CM Punk has already really accomplished mostly everything there is to do in WWE. Main eventing WrestleMania was the big thing that he wanted to do, and he finally got that. So really, there's no harm. Seth Rollins winning this, Roman Reigns losing, and CM Punk losing, they don't really lose anything. They're still going to be very popular superstars. is just with Seth Rollins. I figured like, and this is one of the things is like, what was the purpose of this match? And I think that's for a lot of people that they're wondering, like, what was the purpose of the match? It would have been nice had they made some sort of stipulation, number one contenders match for the world title, because they said they were using a lot of buzzwords to describe that this was going to be the most important match in WrestleMania history, or in WWE history, actually, right there. Yeah, there you guys see it. Paul Heyman turned on Seth Rollins. It was going to be the most important match in WWE history. And when we look at it, man, yeah, like, what Roman's gonna leave and come back again. CM Punk's gonna still be featured. Seth Rollins gonna be there full time. So it's like, yeah, I'm not sure how much it really changes there. In reality, obviously, I believe Triple H, and rightfully so, he wanted to make sure Roman Reigns gets his 10th WrestleMania main event to even things out. Wanted to make sure CM Punk finally got his match at his main event at WrestleMania. And then in addition to that, I think he wanted to make sure Seth Rollins got another main event. And I believe that that's the biggest reason why Seth Rollins is going to go over, because Seth Rollins is a guy over the last few years, he's done a lot of losing to really help reestablish guys like Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, who were coming back into the company. He put a lot of hard work in to really bring legitimacy to that World Heavyweight Championship. And you look at it right there, I think Triple H definitely wanted to reward Seth Rollins there. So absolutely, I thought the storytelling was fantastic. Easily the match of night one. We'll see how it ranks overall, depending on how the matches go for WrestleMania. We'll be ranking WrestleMania matches like I do every year, from least to best. So we'll see where it ultimately ranks up. But definitely, this is the best match of night one, and the storytelling was on point, absolutely. So overall, I really enjoyed. These three guys went out there, laid it all on the line, and delivered what I thought was a very good WrestleMania main event easily. So much hat off to all these guys' performances. And so overall, that's my thoughts on WrestleMania 41 Night 1, aka WrestleMania 41 Saturday. It did not feel as big to me as the last couple of WrestleManias that Triple H has been creatively controlling, such as WrestleMania 39 and 40. Like, when night one ended of those shows, man, it felt like a huge big deal. Like, man, I'm like, this is amazing, and I can't wait to see how the second night ends up going. So I didn't really get that. These matches on this show overall, there was not a bad match. It was good. Was it great? Yeah, I don't know. Like, well, honestly, I can't say I'm probably going to see myself going back to watch most of these matches at WrestleMania. The triple threat match was awesome, and Naomi and Jade Cargill definitely awesome. And the other matches were matches that you probably would have seen on Monday Night Raw. That were good matches. It kind of goes back to what I always say about NXT. Often when Triple H was doing it, and even now with Shawn Michaels, with what he's delivering, especially on like that Stand and Deliver show, you're gonna get either a good show or a great show, but never a bad show. And that's kind of what I feel like with this WrestleMania. It's not great so far for night one. Not great, but it's not bad either. It's good. And obviously, I know that you have a higher expectation when it comes to WrestleMania. You want nothing but greatness. And that's kind of what I felt like we got out of night ones of WrestleMania 39 and 40. This one was just decent, okay. Like I said, I can't really complain about anything on this show. Like, there's nothing bad on this show. There really isn't. So that I can't bash it. But it kind of didn't reach those high level ceilings. It was okay. It was okay, good, solid show. A good, solid show with a big stage and lights and glamour of WrestleMania is what we got here. But the main event absolutely delivered, and I think all the other matches on here were definitely good matches, and some definitely had their even great moments. Night 2 of WWE WrestleMania 41. We kicked things right off with Stephanie McMahon coming out, very much like Triple H came out to introduce WrestleMania. She mentioned how WrestleMania 9 took place when she was 16 years old, and then here at WrestleMania 41, she is now basically has her and Triple H's daughter, their youngest daughter, is 16 years old as well. So it is really incredible when you think of it from the standpoint just how much time has gone by. But from there, we kick things right off with our very first match of the evening for the WWE Women's World Championship. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. So this was, as I mentioned in my night one review, one of the matches that I was looking forward to the most, one of the very four, because you know the women in this match were absolutely going to completely tear the house down, and Bianca Belair, who I've deemed Miss WrestleMania. Honestly, she is always putting on banger after banger, so the audience is very much loud for Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. However, they are booing Bianca Belair, which was not just an international thing, but has also become an American theme. So for whatever reason, the live attendance audience basically here, they are just, man, they are not having it for Bianca Belair, and it's just what it is. But it was really cool. She had a really cool entrance and everything. Particularly one of the people that was there was her stepdaughter, so that had to be a truly emotional moment. Shout out to Earl, we got him in the chat. I think he mentioned something about Dom, which yes, we're gonna get to that one later, but yeah, thanks for joining. You were in the stream last night, we appreciate it. He says women's match might have been the best match the whole weekend besides the main event last night. You know what, man, I definitely have something very similar to say, because I think you might be right on that. So yeah, going through here, we got all three women really basically came out the gate swinging in this triple threat match. At one point, Bianca Belair does 3 consecutive suplexes, holding Io up for like the first 2, and then marching around for the third one, and then finally releasing her. So crazy power. Bianca and Rhea, they even do the spot where they would run into each other and grab each other by the hair in midair, basically, and then slam each other's face into the ground. So that's something that they've done in their NXT matches. They did it in the Royal Rumble, so it's really cool to see that spot and everything. The match is filled with a lot of great counters after great counters, which tends to be a big part of Bianca Belair's matches for WrestleMania. Just incredible counters. At one point, Rhea Ripley, she goes for the riptide on the top rope to Io, but takes way too much time, causing Io to reverse Rhea off of the rope to her back, and Io goes then for the moonsault, only to land and bounce right off to Rhea Ripley's feet. And every time they do this spot, it is incredible, because man, Io just goes flying right off of Rhea Ripley's feet from there, and this causes her body to ricochet into Bianca Belair's KOD, but Rhea Ripley breaks up the pinfall. The audience was really giving them a huge standing ovation at this point and doing the "this is awesome" chants, and man, yeah, the crowd was definitely lively for this match. From here, Bianca, she starts smack talking Rhea Ripley that she works harder than she does, and eventually the match goes to a one-on-one with Rhea and Bianca Belair. Rhea, she gives Bianca a headbutt, but from there is sending her outside the ring, and then yes, this causes her to send outside the ring, and Io tries to take advantage with a reverse Hurricane Rana, but Rhea Ripley is able to power her up over her head, causing Io to go face first into the head first into the turnbuckle, the turnbuckle with like the metal post of it. Incredible, insane spot. And then the ending sequence here, it's crazy. Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are jogging for position, trying to hit each other with their finishers, but Bianca gets the upper hand when she uses her ponytail to hair whip Rhea Ripley. And you guys know, when Bianca Belair does that hair whip, bam, it sounds like, man, just whoo, it's a crazy sound. But before she can score a pinfall, Io actually hits the moonsault on the top rope, knocking both of them out, and then she pins Bianca Belair for the 1, 2, 3. Thus, unfortunately, Bianca Belair is no longer undefeated at WrestleMania, having taken her first pinfall loss, and Io Sky retains the WWE Women's Championship. These three ladies absolutely killed it, and having seen the entire show now, both nights 1 and 2, I can honestly say this was the best women's match of the entire weekend. And honestly, just like Earl said in the chat, quite frankly, we'll see where I put it in my ranking list, but it's going to rank up there really high. Just probably one of the best matches all weekend. Very proud. All three of these women are top notch, and you knew they were going to absolutely deliver. It is unfortunate to see Bianca Belair's winning streak lose. I mean, her winning streak in right here, because I think there was a lot of potential left. I was thinking that, hey, you can have Bianca Belair go on to 5-0. You can go into New Orleans next year, which is where Asuka lost her undefeated streak, which is where The Undertaker lost her undefeated streak. And from there, you could really build off Rhea Ripley versus Bianca one-on-one. Will Rhea be able to do what no other woman by that point in the company would have been able to do? However, nonetheless, Bianca Belair Belair is still, no doubt to me, Miss WrestleMania. She's put on banger after banger. Every WrestleMania match has been great, and I think her and Rhea are still destined to do this one-on-one. There's still a great storyline with Bianca Belair in terms of where she can go with Naomi and Jade Cargill. Obviously, they have unfinished Rhea, and Bianca having unfinished business, and hey, Io Sky gets his moment because most likely, I'm pretty sure Triple H did not want us to forget about Io Sky, and so overall, excellent match to start off things. In the chat, yo, we got my actual brother in the chat. What's good? WrestleMania was great. Women matches were the best. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, shout out. That's my brother, man. We grew up. He got me into pro wrestling back in 1994, and as you can see, all these years later, I'm still very much a passionate fan. So love you out there, bro. Many great times of us bonding growing up watching pro wrestling, and look what it's got me doing today. Let's see. Earl in the chat says, what is next for Rhea Ripley? And says, does Rhea Ripley go back to a hardcore heel or face Io at Backlash? Yeah, I could definitely see them going to Backlash. That might be the direction they go. Rhea Ripley, it's going to be hard to turn her heel. I mean, unless you completely strip away everything people love about her character, unless you turn her to a cowardly heel. Nobody wants to cheer that. But Rhea Ripley, they gave her this kind of like acting like a childish gimmick, and it got over. Fans were still more into Rhea Ripley than ever. They might have to go Bianca Belair into a heel, but yeah, this match was fantastic. Probably, honestly, I would definitely say the match of night 2, and possibly the match of the entire weekend. But I'll go ahead and do my rankings for that tomorrow. But yeah, shout out, these ladies absolutely killed it. All right, so the next match was a Sin City street fight. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. All right, so with this match, a lot of people were, when they first heard Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre, there were a lot of fans complaining online, but I was like, let's give it a chance. And to these two guys' credit, I thought they made the absolute best of this storyline, and it did tie into where things were last year when Drew McIntyre was cashed in on by Damian Priest. So I really enjoyed the story, and these guys came out here, and it was a hard-hitting match. Shout out to SMP in the chat. He says, I see a Rhea and Bianca died in the future and Io and Zayn feud. Oh, I guess he's saying Rhea and Bianca might team up to take on Io and Zayn. Yeah, they could go that route and stuff like that. Earl also asks, do I do Raw and SmackDown reviews? Only the special Raw, if there's a special Raw or SmackDown, but mostly the big 4 shows. SMP also says the street fight could have been better. Well, getting into this street fight match, yeah, I thought it was hard hitting. At one point, I think someone who was a relative of Drew McIntyre gave Drew McIntyre the phone, so he took a quick selfie with Damian Priest once he's down to the ground, and pretty funny moment and stuff like that. Drew McIntyre, he also tries to break Damian Priest's neck by lodging his neck in between the chair where it supports the back and the part that supports the butt. But he runs into a Claymore, and Damian delivers a one-arm, he goes for the Claymore, and Damian delivers a one-arm choke slam. But these guys just go ahead and really, man, they're just hitting hard. Damian, he sends Drew McIntyre through a table with the razor's edge. Drew McIntyre is giving Damian Priest the future shock DDT on the top of the steel steps, hurting both of them. At one point, Damian Priest, he tries to walk the ropes like the Undertaker, and Drew McIntyre, he ends up basically shoving shoving Damian Priest off the middle of the top rope and sending him through 2 tables on the outside of the ring. From here, Damian Priest, he is pulled in between the top and bottom turnbuckles and the edge towards the corner of the ring, and from there a chair is laid next to his head, and this is where Drew McIntyre goes in for the Claymore and gets the 1-2-3 pinfall victory against Damian Priest, avenging his cash-in from last year at WrestleMania 40. Like I said, good job to Drew and Priest. I know a lot of people, they were not excited about this when it was first announced, but like I said, these guys, they made the most of this story, and I think they made the most of this match. So I thought, hey, this was a solid WrestleMania match, and it made sense for the story. Both these guys, they went out there and they made the most of their WrestleMania moment. So that was really cool. And also after the match, there was something announced where Michael Cole also mentions that there will be debuting superstars coming to the main roster, alluding to NXT call-ups for the first time ever. I think that's been done on WWE programming, actually announcing there's going to be some call-ups coming in for NXT. Earl says it was Drew, brother. Drew, oh, okay, it's Drew's brother. Gotcha. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate it. It's always always good doing these things live because I can't catch everything in my notes. But yeah, that's cool. He got a great moment with his brother and stuff. Honestly, like my brother, my real life brother here in my chat and everything, supporting me. So cool for Drew to probably have his real life brother go ahead and help him out and all that stuff. So that was awesome. All right, our next match here. Yes, sir. This is another match I was looking forward to. It wasn't in my top 4, but I knew this was going to be an absolute banger. The WWE Intercontinental Championship Fatal 4-Way match. Finn Balor versus Penta versus Dominic Mysterio versus Braun Breaker. Yes, these 4 guys just went crazy, all-out action from the start. Penta eventually, in this match, he goes for a top rope. He goes for something where he goes flying over the top rope. I think he hit Dominic and Finn Balor. Correct me in the chats or in the comments if you're watching on demand if I was wrong. But yeah, he did some crazy move out of the ring there. There was some great action from start. At one point, Penta, he goes for a springboard only to get caught by Braun Breaker and Braun Breaker just slams him quickly to the canvas, almost like the world's strongest slam. Shout out to Mark Henry, all-time great. Pat McAfee on commentary. He then puts over Braun Breaker for being an absolute beast. And he is because when you look at this, man, the standing vertical double suplex that he did to Finn Balor and Dominic at the same time, I've never seen anybody do a vertical suplex. That means the strength, the balance that has to take to pull off and do that to both of them. Absolute freaking beast. Braun Breaker is such a pleasure to watch in the ring, man. And at one point, we get into the whole, every man for himself trope that you see in these matches when you have 2 teams that are in a triple threat or a fatal 4-way. So Finn Balor, he's hanging on the ropes because Dominic Mysterio actually takes advantage by drop kicking him into the ropes. And then he goes for the 619, only for Finn Balor to catch Dominic's feet, and then he sweeps him into the canvas and starts stumping a mud hole and walking and drive like Stone Cold Steve Austin. More about him later, my all-time favorite. Only to get then, he is put into the Penta driver, and Penta nearly gets the fall from there, the count, and it's broken up by Braun Breaker, which then leads to Braun and Penta just trading blows, and eventually he hits the Mexican Destroyer to Dominic Mysterio, and Carlito, he pulls them out, and he's being a nuisance through this whole entire match, and Carlito, he tries to go ahead and pull, I think it was Braun Breaker not Braun Breaker, he tries to put Penta through the announce table, but Braun Breaker. So the way this works, Braun, you got one announce table here and the other announce table here. This is where Penta and Carlito are. Braun Breaker gets on the announce table, runs across, jumps from one announce table to the other announce table, and manages to spear Carlito. And once they land on that announce table, the whole thing just implodes. I'm like, yo, this was an insane, crazy spot. The speed, the power of Braun Breaker, man. Just like I said, he's an absolute pleasure to watch out there in the ring. And then as we get into and even when that table spot happened, Michael Cole was screaming, he's like, Carlito is dead, and Pat McAfee was just jumping up and down and just like moving his arms and legs like he was going absolute crazy. It's no wonder why his commentary sounds good, because when you look at it, he really gets into the character. Often, and for those of you who are anime fans and stuff, well, you hear these dynamic performances of the voiceovers, but when you see the voice actors themselves, they're getting really high, energetic into the microphone. That comes across on the video. And that's what you hear Pat McAfee's passion, and when you see what he's doing physically while looking at the show, yeah, he's really into it, and it just helps the overall viewing experience for these commentators. So as we get to the ending sequence here, Dominic tries to hit Braun Breaker with the frog splash, but his legs are pulled right from under him, and he ends up crashing and burning into the turnbuckle, and he's just hanging there. And I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So they take the action away from Dominic. Finn Balor, he then hits the sling blade and coup de grace to Braun Breaker. However, before he can get the pinfall, Dominic Mysterio recovers and lands the frog splash on both of them and pins Finn Balor 1, 2, 3 to become the new WWE Intercontinental Champion, and the audience there in Las Vegas erupts with excitement. And he then, to the point where I don't know if this was planned, but because Dominic's kind of like the sneaky heel, he says, screw it. Dominic runs right back down that long ramp, goes in the ring and gets on top and raises his hand with the Intercontinental Championship, and the audience is going crazy. He was my pick. I put him in the no DQ predictions lead. I did pick him in the no DQ predictions lead, and shout out to Earl, who was also saying Dom was going to win, Earl in the chat. And man, Dominic Mysterio, I can't tell you, I'm proud. Going back to when he first debuted at SummerSlam 5 years ago against Seth Rollins, you could tell right there, I'm like, the kid's got it in the ring. And I'll admit, it did take him a while to really get comfortable on the microphone and find his character. But man, when he turned heel and he started hanging with the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley, that brought out Dominic Mysterio's character work and just him knowing how to get the heel heat. And man, he became so far. It's clear that Dominic Mysterio went from being Rey Mysterio's kid to all around much better performer in WWE who, hey, it just so happens he's Rey Mysterio's kid. Him being the son of Rey Mysterio is now, it's secondary. You see Dominic Mysterio as his own man, and you can tell the audience respects him because people boo, but the booing has not been as loud. And I think that's because people truly have respect how far Dominic Mysterio has come and how hard he has worked to really come into his own. And I'm glad to see him get his Intercontinental Championship. Obviously, they're going to keep the story alive with him and his father on screen, but you got to imagine that back there Rey Mysterio was just happy and was giving his son a big old hug. Man, this is just amazing. For people that were doubting Dominic Mysterio years ago and thinking he wasn't going to be nothing, he's just there because he's Rey Mysterio's son. He has really come a long way. I'm so happy to see Dominic Mysterio just come into his own. He has really earned this opportunity to become Intercontinental Champion, and hey, I'm looking forward to where the story goes with him and Finn Balor now. And then when it comes to Braun Breaker, obviously this was a great way to protect Braun Breaker. He didn't take the pinfall, and I gotta believe Braun Breaker, Jacob Fatu, even freaking Owafemi and NXT, them guys are on the big things. And Penta, he's already doing some hot stuff right now. So yeah, and I gotta admit, at this point I was thinking like, man, night 2 of WrestleMania 41, as much as I thought night 1 was good, I thought night 2 was at this point blowing night 1 out the water. Just every match, boom, 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 just really hitting it, man. So overall, this was fantastic and a wonderful payoff and a nice career-defining moment for Dominic Mysterio. Earl says Dom finally turned on Balor. They were playing it up because when Dominic won, you see Finn Balor right there was basically just happy. He was happy for him. So I think they're going to do the slow build to build up more jealousy between Finn Balor, and eventually leads to Dominic Mysterio becoming a good guy. So I don't think it was a turn just yet. And you said you called it. Yep, that you did. You say craziest spear I have seen though through the table. Poor Carlito. Michael Cole said he thought Carlito was dead. Yep, I mentioned that. Yeah, Carlito, between that spear where Braun Breaker on Raw basically did a whole front flip on him, and to this one, man, yeah, Carlito's been really taking it the blunt of those spears. You say first time I have heard Dom get cheered from the crowd. Yeah, it's respect. You go out there, the audience, when they see that you have worked hard and you have organically gotten over with them, they give you respect, whether you're a face or heel. And I think that's really awesome to see. It had to be awesome for Dominic Mysterio as a performer. And then you say, I could see Dom turn on the Judgment Day and live and go by himself. Could be, yeah. It's interesting. We'll see where Dom and Liv go from here. So it's going to be interesting. Do they keep them together? They could probably keep them together. We'll see where it all goes. But yeah, this is definitely looking good here. Our next match, Randy Orton versus say his name and he appeared, believe in Joe Hendry. I know I got that all wrong, right? I was supposed to do the clap and then go into do it, right? But yeah, so replacing Kevin Owens was history being made. The first time the TNA World Heavyweight Champion showed up to perform live in a WWE event. So yeah, this was huge. So as far as the match goes, it was short and sweet. I put in my notes. Randy Orton, he does his signature moves. Joe Hendry gets to showcase what he can do. But honestly, by far, the thing that this match will probably be remembered for the most, because the most memorable part had to be, and I'm telling you guys, I have not laughed this hard at WWE in a long time, at least probably since the Sami Zayn stuff that he was doing with the Bloodline about 2 or 3 years ago. So Joe Hendry, he does his signature pose where he turns to the back, and then he goes ahead, does his smile, and out of nowhere, Randy Orton comes in, grabs his neck, and he, boom, goes out of frame. Randy just goes like, boom, RKO, 1, 2, 3, picks up the win. I was laughing so hard. I'm still thinking about it. It was one of the it was the funniest WrestleMania. I put in my notes, the funniest WrestleMania ending I've ever seen in a match. And I've seen every WrestleMania, so maybe it's recency bias. Maybe I had to go back and have to be reminded of a WrestleMania match that ended more hilarious than this did. But just to see, he turns around, he's smiling at the camera, and then Randy Orton comes out of nowhere, RKO. Oh my gosh, this was hilarious. This was absolutely hilarious. Randy Orton gets his 20th WrestleMania appearance. The fans were going wild for the RKO. He ends up picking up Joe Hendry afterwards, shakes his hand, and hits another RKO on him. Now, I haven't followed Joe Hendry's career much. I've heard the buzz and everything, and I know that he's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. So I don't think this match it didn't. The match, to be honest, did nothing, I feel, to legitimize the World Heavyweight Championship of this company, TNA that is. And I watched, TNA going back in like 2005 and stuff. Kind of fell off of around 2014-ish, I think. And then I'll check in every now and then, but I've heard the buzz and stuff like that. But yeah, to those that are not familiar with TNA or don't watch on a regular basis, yeah, this doesn't really do good to actually show why Joe Hendry's a big deal. And when you look at how they had him in the Royal Rumble, how quickly Roman Reigns got rid of him, it's like, man, they did not want their TNA World Champ. They didn't want the TNA World Champion going out here going evenly match blow for blow with Randy Orton. I did, by the way, like, as you can see, Randy Orton came out with the color trunks of what he had when he first debuted. He was kind of like in that shiny blue with the yellow lettering or design on it. That's what he was wearing when he first debuted back in 2002. So that was cool. Yeah, like I said, it was short, sweet, to the point, and it gave us one of the most entertaining RKO moments. Not from a wow standpoint, but just from an LOL moment, man. Boy, that had me laughing like a good 2 minutes when that should have been one of the times I probably should have recorded my live reaction, because I could not stop laughing. Oh my gosh, man. That was absolutely just hilarious. Let's see what the chat says. Let's see. He said, I could see Dom turn on. Oh, yeah, you mentioned that before. Or I read that before. He says, best part was when Randy helped him up and then RKO'd him again. Yeah, that was quite funny. So yeah, like I said, not a good showcase for showcasing the TNA World Champion is a big deal. Do you all really think that the World Champions in WWE would go to TNA and get made to look like this even in a losing effort? It would probably be a very competitive match at least. But that being said, happy for Joe Hendry. I know he has a lot of fans out there, and I've experienced the huge pop when I was there in Indianapolis at the Royal Rumble. So obviously there is much reason to believe in Joe Hendry. These audience went crazy and they were chanting "believe" for him. And hey, for him, he really wants a big match with John Cena, but hey, he got the next best thing, Randy Orton. He got to be on WrestleMania, so for him, it no doubt was a dream come true, especially at the last minute. So that was really cool. And I should mention this, it made sense, because I honestly thought it was going to be Rusev. A lot of people thought this was going to be Rusev returning, but you don't really want to re-debut Rusev and have him lose in his first match. So it made sense to put Joe Hendry out there. He's someone who would have gotten who did obviously get a huge reaction from the WWE audience, but on top of that, you also got to where okay, he can afford the loss to Randy Orton, and it won't kill the momentum, because honestly, he might show up in WWE as a full-time star, and you can push him more serious then, I guess, basically on that standpoint. But yeah, I think this is the right move. This is the best way to really compensate for Kevin Owens not being in the match, and still keep plans for Randy Orton to look strong. Let's see in the chat, Earl says, I think that match was more for Randy. Certainly, yeah, clearly, because it was his 20th WrestleMania. Yeah, absolutely. It was basically, letting Randy Orton get that big moment for his 20th WrestleMania. All right, so we get to our next match, which was AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. All right, so Logan Paul, he comes out with his drone being used as a selfie, and then he launches it into the air, and we get these really cool multi-view angles of him. I thought it was really cool, something we've never seen before, and this is kind of, I guess, what they're seeing in the production truck. And SMP, he does that type of work and stuff in terms of like looking into like TV production and stuff. So you would probably know more than I do, SMP, in the chat, seeing the multi-camera view and choosing which shots to call and stuff like that. And then from there, Logan Paul, the two of them, they put on a really great match, as I put it here in my notes. They really showed off their athleticism. Logan Paul, he's being a great heel, showboating with the drone and doing their 360 view, landing some great moves like the buckshot lariat. You're getting the frog splashes. In fact, at one point in the match, he does a clothesline he does a lionsault from one side of the ring and nearly lands to the other side of the ring. Like, the distance he covered on this line shot was truly amazing. Like I said, I don't follow Logan Paul outside of WWE as a lot of my friends do, but I've heard why a lot of people don't like him. But one thing I will have to give him as a WWE fan that watches him in the WWE, the man is athletically gifted, and he is just a natural at this for someone of his inexperience. And I've said this constantly through his matches over the years. So that was really amazing. AJ Styles, he in the match, he does another really great showcasing what he can do, breaking out all his dynamic moves. And one point with the storytelling, he's such as when the camera zooms in on, the camera zooming in on his face, and he's just like cursing Logan Paul out because Logan actually had previously sent him in the turnbuckle, but immediately turned his back, thinking that AJ Styles is down. And as soon as he turns around, as soon as Logan Paul turns around, AJ Styles nails him with a lightning quick clothesline. Now, towards the end of the match, Logan Paul's friend shows up with the brass knucks, and then after that, Karrion Kross shows up, and he stops Logan Paul's friend, and AJ Styles goes ahead and lays out Logan Paul's friend, and Karrion Kross, he basically puts down the brass knucks and tells AJ Styles to use them. But AJ Styles, he ends up throwing away the brass knucks, and he ends up laying Karrion Kross out with, I think, a right hand. And Logan Paul, he's eventually able to take advantage of all this recovery time because Logan Paul's able to dodge AJ Styles when he goes for the phenomenal forearm. And then from there, he ends up landing a right hand right to AJ Styles. Of course, everyone knowing Logan Paul's background, playing playing a huge role, his real life ability to box, playing a role here in his character work. He then delivers the pulverizer for the 1-2-3 to defeat AJ Styles, and that pulverizer move is sick. Honestly, that's really awesome. They said in commentary, one of the most awesome looking finishing moves in WWE right now. And so, I figured Logan Paul was going to win because AJ Styles at this point in his career, he's probably going to go ahead and put over the young talent. He just wants to go out there and probably have good matches and everything. So, he puts Logan Paul over. This is a good match with these two. And was it the best Logan Paul match I've seen in WWE? I wouldn't say that. I definitely say for AJ Styles, it was one of his best WrestleMania matches because, like I mentioned last year, before that, outside of the match with Shane McMahon, which I attended live in person, WrestleMania 33, I don't think AJ Styles' matches really lived up to that match until you get all the way to his match last year with LA Knight. And then you can throw this match with Logan Paul right up there. Those would probably be the three best matches I've seen for AJ Styles at WrestleMania. His match with Shane McMahon, LA Knight, and now Logan Paul. Those are definitely, I think, AJ Styles' best three WrestleMania matches. So it was a good match, decent match. Earl says, okay, I think this was the worst match of the night. It was slow and then finally picked up, but Paul had some good high-flying moves. He also says the reversal on the Styles Clash was pretty cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool with the Styles Clash and everything, reversal. I think I forgot to put that into my notes there. And you say this match was 7 out of 10. Well, I think that's pretty high praise for something that you said was the worst match. And if the worst match you consider to be 7 out of 10, I think that just goes to show you what it comes down to. Because very much like night 1, I felt night 2 had no bad matches. There was not a bad match on this card. Some were great, some were good, but nothing was bad. And that's pretty high testament, I think, to a good show that when you think the worst match is at best a 7 out of 10, which to me, I would say means decent, good, definitely not bad. So yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I might not be ranking this match as high when I do my ranking video live stream tomorrow. So we were supposed to have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match featuring Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the championships against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. But of course, they shot an angle yesterday where Bayley was injured, and as a result, she was taken out. Now, unlike Rey Mysterio or Kevin Owens, where they unfortunately got injuries that were outside of WWE's control, this was something that was actually very much intended. Bayley was taken off the card this year despite playing a big role last year. I think she co-main evented night 2. She was a co-main event in night 2, and there was even reports going that a lot of talent felt really bad for Bayley because she's so well respected. So this could only be setting up one return, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the return of Becky Lynch. Yeah, came out to a thunderous ovation. Becky Lynch teaming up with her fellow Irish woman, the Lyra Valkyria, and there you go. Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria were a team. So the match itself, I put in my notes here, was pretty good tag team match. Mostly it was Liv and Raquel working over Lyra and trying to constantly prevent Becky tagging in. Eventually Becky does tag in and kicks out of the oblivion that's delivered to her by Liv Morgan, that being her finishing move, of course. And from there, the match ends when Becky Lynch scores the manhandle slam to pick up the win to become a 2-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champion. And Lyra Valkyria, she has now become Lyra 2 belts, as she is basically pretty much now currently the WWE one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champion and the WWE Women's Intercontinental Champion. And on top of that, it's very fitting, and they mentioned this on commentary, very much like her friend and mentor Becky Lynch there. She has at WrestleMania become Lyra 2 belts, like when Becky became Becky 2 belts back at WrestleMania 35 in 2019, winning the Raw and SmackDown Women's World Championships in the very first ever main event of WrestleMania. So this was really cool. I honestly thought they were always going to eventually team up Lyra and Becky, and why they went this route. Like, I will say this, in SMP, if he's still in the chat, he's mentioned this as well, and I do agree with him. You created these mid-card championships, you introduced them, and you don't have them being defended on the WrestleMania card. Instead, you don't feature your United States Women's Champion, and you take your Women's Intercontinental Champion, and yeah, you put her on the show, but you put her in a tag team match, and now you've given her the tag team championships and the Intercontinental title, and it's like, it almost makes people wonder what was the purpose, and why not put these in a single program. But it is what it is there. I am happy for Lyra Valkyria to know that, hey, she just only has to win the world title, and she's completed the trifecta. Is that called Grand Slam champion? Like, is it Grand Slam champion, or no, it's a Triple Crown champion, I think, right? So yeah, that's really cool. Cool moment for Lyra. I'm very happy for her. Becky's back. A lot of people kept talking about, is Becky coming back? Becky's this. I said, listen, Becky Lynch will come back when she's good and well ready. And it turns out tonight, she was good and well ready. No ring rust, even though she's been out of the ring for almost a year. So really good to see this, and I approve of them being tag team champions. Once I knew Becky Lynch was coming out, I'm like, okay, if Bayley's not there, because I'm thinking she was going to take the pinfall, Liv and Raquel both losing the tag team titles, because I thought Liv and Raquel was going to be champions for a long time, but with Becky and Lyra there you go. So I could very well see Lyra losing the Intercontinental Champion soon, because it's very rare that they keep these 2-time champions, 2-time champs for long. So yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, this is a really good moment. The tag team match was fairly standard stuff, but that's not what it was about. This was about the moment of Becky Lynch coming back and having a big moment. It's kind of like that ladder match, which I was there in person for, the tag team ladder match, WrestleMania 33. It was about Matt and Jeff, not them out there outdoing their TLC matches from years prior at WrestleMania, but rather, and ladder matches from years prior, but rather just getting that feel-good moment of seeing the Hardy Boys back, and we went crazy for that, and that's what this moment was. So yeah, once again, really good fun moment. These mystery mystery opponent matches with Randy and now Liv and Raquel and all that stuff, yeah, I would say match-wise, they weren't anything spectacular. They were mostly just about the moment. Fairly standard stuff and just giving you that moment. A feel-good moment for Randy Orton, a feel-good moment for Joe Hendry, a feel-good moment for Becky Lynch, a feel-good moment for Lyra Valkyria. That's what these matches were about, so it's okay, I think, if they weren't all-out action. You save that for the matches that were highly anticipated and everything. So, yeah, I got no complaints about this. All right, let's see in the chat what we got going here. Becky Lynch is back. Yeah, that was fantastic. And you say 8.1 out of 10 tag team match. Yeah, like I said, the match was about creating that big moment of seeing Becky Lynch back and having her sharing this moments with Lyra. Fantastic WrestleMania debut for Lyra Valkyria. So yeah, I'm happy for both women and stuff like that for sure. All right, we get my, as you can see right there, my all-time favorite, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Got me up out of my chair being like Jim Ross, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, Stone Cold, because I knew this was coming out before the main event. I'm like, oh, are we kicking things off? Is Stone Cold Steve Austin coming out to be a part of the main event? Man, so I'm looking at there and I'm like, wow, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he comes on out. I was like, man, this is fantastic. Stone Cold, he comes out to a huge ovation, of course. He lives out there in Las Vegas, and of course they want to utilize him somewhat on the show. So he comes out on his ATM machine, and I feel that unfortunately what this segment's going to be most remembered for is Stone Cold. He comes out and he makes a left turn, but for whatever reason, I don't know if he wasn't looking or he just couldn't get enough momentum. He goes crashing right into the barricade, and there was a female fan that ended up falling down, and you could see there's pictures online too showing that Nick Khan got up to check on her, and even when Steve Austin leaves the segment, he goes to check on the fan to make sure she's okay. So hopefully everything is okay. I imagine WWE is going to do everything in their power to make sure that the fan is well taken care of, because the last thing they need is a lawsuit on their hands, especially with all this money they're bringing in. That being said, Stone Cold Steve Austin gets in the ring looking in absolute fantastic shape, and he says that basically that to announce that there was in total of both nights 124,693 people and things like that attended. And he even did a funny thing where he's going to count everybody. He's like, 1, and everybody's like, what, 2, what, 3, what? So, it was hilarious. And then he's like, I know that bull, beep. And so from there, he just announces the attendance, and of course he ends with that classic line, and that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so. So that was cool to see, and he drinks the beard and everything. Always great to see Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's my all-time favorite. Currently on my main channel, SonGoshuaku, I do have where I rank the top 4 Stone Cold Steve Austin moments. Eventually I will end up privating it on that channel and moving it over here to my WWE only / wrestling channel, but yeah, check that out. You can just see how really much I go crazy. Stone Cold Steve Austin, my all-time favorite wrestler, and reason why I'm still a fan to this day. So yeah, my all-time favorite there. So it was always great to see him. The main event of the weekend for the WWE, or I guess they call it the Undisputed WWE Championship. Let you know which world title means the most there. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. All right, let's be honest. The build up to this match, could have been better, and I got more to say about the build-up when we get to the end of the match, but, Cena and Cody had some good stuff where they threw some bombs at each other and things like that, so that was really cool to see. But then there were other times where it's like it mostly was John Cena going against the fans and everything, and there wasn't much brought up ever about The Rock, so it's like, where is this going? So it lead us to where we got here today in the main event. So the audience comes very much alive with the Let's Go Cena Sucks chants, and completely erupt once the bell rings. So John Cena, he does a lot of stalling in the beginning while the audience stays electric. Wade Barrett, he even mentions on commentary how it used to be high-pitched voices saying, "Let's go Cena," and then the deep voices, "Cena sucks," and now that it's more in unison and everything, which yeah, me and my friends used to point that out during the days that we weren't too fond of the whole way John Cena was being booked and portrayed in WWE back when we were like teenagers, early 20s and stuff like like that. So yeah, we used to point that out. But yeah, most of the match in the beginning is John Cena methodically beating down Cody Rhodes, doing a lot of X handles, X handles off the top rope, and even does a tornado DDT from the top rope, showcasing his ability to use moves beyond the 5 moves of doom that many complained about on the internet for years. Once again, growing up and not being much of a Cena fan, saw these complaints and everything back in the day. But honestly, when Cena wanted to do things beyond the 5 moves of doom, he definitely certainly proved that in his matches. And then from there, John Cena goes for the 5 moves of doom, but very slowly each time. And I will say this, I did like the more methodical pace that John Cena wrestled in this match, because you want to see that he's going to work differently as a heel. And so he wasn't doing the fast pace that he would do with his moves. He was just taking his time and soaking it all in and trash talking to the fans. So that was really cool. And then basically he goes for the 5 knuckle shuffle. And then he bends down for that. When he goes to bend down for the whole "you can't see me," Cody gives him a poke to the eye, and the match starts to turn into his favor. And you can hear audible boos. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boos for Cody Rhodes. And Michael Cole points out that on commentary, a lot of people wanted to see John Cena hit the greatest hits, because even though Cena's a heel, a lot of fans who paid a lot of money, and they paid, especially the front row seats, $25,000 I think I heard for those seats, they paid a lot of money. And so for them, they don't care if John Cena's heel. They wanted to go ahead and see Cena one last time, get that world title. My buddy, the man 0001, who was there live in attendance, I did text him, and he told me that it felt like 50-50, and I could see that, because on the at least on TV, you could audible hear points where they were going back and forth. And then from here, when John Cena comes back on the offense with a drop toe hold, he then eventually does the attitude adjustment, and the audience starts cheering for this. And John Cena eventually even hits a super attitude adjustment from the top rope, which Cody Rhodes kicks out of with the near fall, and the fans boo. When John Cena then goes for the jumping leg drop from the top rope to Cody Rhodes, Cody counters in midair into a power bomb for a near fall, which I think was always the moment that they said is what how Batista injured John Cena back at SummerSlam 1998, but he did that spot several more times and never got injured. I think it was covering up for something else that he did that really injured him. So the atmosphere is just crazy, and I will say, out of every match here at WrestleMania, this match probably had the most heat, where fans were just cheering and booing and just going nuts through the entire match and everything. This is the type of energy I would have loved to have seen from every match at WrestleMania. But hey, you can't blame the fans. This, at least, we can say this could have been done better, or that could have been done better about the storyline. But nonetheless, these are two superstars that they put a lot of time in investing in. So no wonder why, with that story, fans were really invested. So then from there, John Cena, after that crazy atmosphere, Cody Rhodes, he then hits the Cody Cutter, only for John Cena to kick out at another near fall. And I think people at this point, fans were chanting Cody Rhodes, or they're singing Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, however that goes. So like I said, the fans were kind of flip-flopping back and forth as far as who they were cheering for. So eventually, John Cena gets the STF in, but Cody Rhodes refuses to tap out. And when Cody tries to pull Cody Rhodes back, Cody ends up kicking John Cena into the referee, causing the referee to get knocked out, and Cody Rhodes then gets the crossroads, but to no avail, as the referee is not there to count the pinfalls. And obviously we know this means Shenanigan City. From there, John Cena, while the referee is down, he takes the turnbuckle pad and hits Cody Rhodes in the head twice, or hits Cody Rhodes' head into the exposed turnbuckle twice. The attitude adjustment he then hits the attitude adjustment and goes for the pin, but Cody Rhodes kicks out at 2. From here, Travis Scott's theme song, Fiend, which is also the official theme song for WrestleMania 41, and I think it was another song by The Weeknd, who's had five now of his theme songs used for WrestleMania pretty much all year, every year in the 2020 so far. Travis Scott, he comes out, and while Travis Scott is taking his sweet time to come down down that long aisle, you see John Cena is just smiling, and I'm just sitting there the whole thing ring, you're giving Cody Rhodes plenty of time to recover. He is recovering plenty of time. I'm screaming like, you might as well do something. And of course, John Cena ends up, when he picks up Cody Rhodes, he tells Travis Scott to hit him, but Cody Rhodes, he made sweet use of all that recovery time, ducks the hit, and he tries to swing at Travis. Travis jumps off the ring apron, and Cody Rhodes then delivers the crossroads to John Cena and nearly gets the pinfall victory, only because Travis Scott pulls the referee out. And from here, Cody Rhodes then tells Travis Scott to get in the ring, and they go face to face. Travis tries to smack Cody again, but Cody Rhodes delivers the crossroads to Travis Scott and kicks him out of the ring, getting that revenge for getting popped in the face by him. From there, John Cena, he picks up the WWE Championship, but Cody is able to block it and grab the title from him, and Cena starts doing something we've never seen him before. He gets on his knees and he begs. He's begging, don't do it, don't do it. And Cody, he's struggling. He wants to hit John Cena with the title, but he just can't bring himself to do it. And I'm sitting there at the screen like, F him. Just do it. F him. You know, he effed you up. Now it's your time to F him up. You know, you could imagine if this is Stone Cold Steve Austin in the attitude there, you think Stone Cold's gonna be like, I can't bring myself to do it. No. It would have been like, nah. Stone Cold made sure everyone had hell to pay, whether you were a babyface and heel. And those are the type of baby faces I grew up with. And I would have loved to seen that for Cody Rhodes here as a babyface. However, it was not to be, as Cody Rhodes basically ends up throwing the title away, wanting to do it the right way, and John Cena, of course, takes advantage and kicks him right in the balls. You know, there's a great line from Drake, for those of you that are Dragon Ball fans out there. It was in the early Funimation dub where Vegeta, he tells Goku, he goes like, these are warriors, Kakarot, and they'll do whatever it takes to win the game, referring to the characters, the Ginyu Force, who basically in wrestling terms were heels. More of my Dragon Ball content on my other main YouTube channel, SonGoshuaku. But yeah, I bring that back here into wrestling. Is that line always stuck with me because it's true. Sometimes you can't be that good guy. You gotta fight the bad guys with their own, give them a taste of their own medicine here, and that's what Cody Rhodes should have done, and that's what we've seen baby faces like The Rock and Stone Cold back in the Attitude Era do, and so why Cody Rhodes is not doing it here, no idea why. And from there, Cody Rhodes, now with the succumbing to the low blow, John Cena then picks up the WWE Championship belt and he nails Cody Rhodes with it. And the referee gets back into the ring and starts counting, and I'm like, okay, Cody Rhodes is going to kick out on that. It's going to take more than that to beat Cody Rhodes and stuff. And so the referee counts 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, what? Like that? And there it is. John Cena has now become the 17-time world champion. The ending of WrestleMania 41, and the audience, they erupt. They are glad to see it. And you know, I just got through watching WrestleMania 17, which is my all-time favorite pro wrestling match ever, honestly, in terms of WWE and stuff like that. When, even though Stone Cold Steve Austin turned heel, that the fan base did not care. They still jumped because they were happy to see Stone Cold get that win for the WWE Championship. And even I was, 'cause I'm a loyal Stone Cold fan, and that's pretty much, the audience didn't care that John Cena cheated and all that stuff. They just wanted to see Cena get that 17th world title win. So yeah, Cena for the first time since, I think, 9 years, I think it was. Like, last time he held that championship was in 2016 because he lost the Elimination Chamber. No, it was 2017, so about 8 years. 2017, I think, yeah, because he had beat AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble in 2017 and then lost it to, I think, Bray Wyatt in the Elimination Chamber. So yeah, that being said here, yeah, that's how WrestleMania goes off the air. Honestly, I do think John Cena winning was the right move, and I do think Cody Rhodes chasing is the right move. But here's my thing about this: though it was the right decisions, I thought this could have been executed way better. I like, for starters there, Cody Rhodes, like, I just think, like, making him look conflicted when I've just mentioned baby faces before who would have been like, F it, I'm going to give you a dose of my own medicine. Having him be conflicted, it brought me back to, like, when they had Bayley early on in her WWE main roster career. She was in a match where you're supposed to whack your opponent with the Kindle stick, but she just couldn't bring herself to it, throws it down, and Alexa Bliss took advantage. And it took Bayley a long time to recover back from that. And thankfully, she ended up becoming one of the all-time greats. But that's kind of what it did here. Like, I don't think that was a good look for Cody Rhodes as the top babyface after overcoming the odds last year with Roman Reigns, just like that, like a low blow and a championship to the face, and then that's it. Like, yeah, I thought they were going to do something much more bigger. I figured Cena would cheat, but I thought it'd be something more grander, like The Rock coming out. And the only reason why I picked Cody Rhodes is because I'm thinking, okay, Stone Cold Steve Austin's in Las Vegas. They've been teasing The Rock through this whole, at least during Elimination Chamber. And so I'm thinking right there is that John Cena is going to get helped by The Rock and Travis Scott, and Stone Cold's going to come out and stun The Rock, and we'll get one more WrestleMania moment of Austin giving The Rock the stunner, and then that's where it's going to end up, and that's what I was thinking. And even if Cena went over, it'd be something where he cheats, but I know like they're not going to want to waste a big Stone Cold Steve Austin run-in moment on something like that, but it kind of looked pretty obvious that Stone Cold probably was just out there for that one moment and stuff and things like that. And then as we go from here, some other things that I had problems in terms of this build-up. Yeah, there were a lot of people who were just talking about the build-up and complaining and saying Triple H isn't cooking this year for WrestleMania. And I'm like, you know what? Triple H is a slow cooker. But more often than not, he has proven over the last couple of years that it is eventually going to have a big payoff. It's usually a big payoff that we get. And I was like, you know what? I'd rather wait till WrestleMania is over and let me judge based on the completion of WrestleMania, and then we can backtrack and see how this goes. So I'll say this. I thought WWE should have not teased The Rock. To have The Rock be there at Elimination Chamber, and you really didn't need him. If this is what they had planned all along, there was no reason to do the John Cena and the Rock together. I mean, because they barely mention The Rock. I don't think it's good for your audience, just in any form of storytelling, any form of fiction or TV shows, to do a big tease of something and then barely mention it, and then when you get to the big moment that everything is culminating to not deliver on it. What I felt they should have done is they should have had The Rock say right then and there, hey, I'm not going to be at WrestleMania because it won't be needed. John Cena will take care of business from here. Had he said that, you at least let your audience know, okay, there's going to be no Rock. We still would have been wondering why John Cena showed up with The Rock, but when John Cena doesn't do any of this mentioning of The Rock, doesn't do any, there's hardly any mention of it at all throughout the TV, then you're thinking, okay, something big is going to happen at WrestleMania, and that's where they reveal it. It might get revealed later on, but it didn't get revealed here. WrestleMania is the big payoff. So I do think teasing The Rock was not a good idea to tease him, and he didn't even show up at WrestleMania. I remember a fan was asking The Rock on social media months ago, is it true you're not going to be working at WrestleMania 41? And The Rock basically commented, don't believe that bull crap. And here we are. The Rock did indeed not work WrestleMania 41. So now moving forward, if someone asks, hey, Rock, are you going to work at WrestleMania 42? And he says, no, a lot of people are going to be like, well, can we take it for it? And I do feel like now WWE is treading as far as trust with your audience. When you do big teases like this, like when The Rock shows up, how excited do we get? It's always great to see The Rock, but when The Rock shows up, is it just going to be something like it's just for this moment and we're not going to get a big payoff here at the big show? Like, I think this was not handled really well. And I think there's other stuff they could have done better in this build-up. Like, didn't have John Cena for the first 2 weeks after the heel turn. Why not sit down with John Cena and do some sort of video package with him or some sit-down interviews for the nights that he couldn't be there? There were a lot of fans who were complaining about the build-ups to WrestleMania, and now they probably feel like, they were justified in that and stuff. Having waited it out first, I look at it and it's like, man, yeah, this is just, wow, I can't believe they did that like that. I mean, Travis Scott showed up at WrestleMania, but yeah, I just wish they could have been executed better. I wish they would have been very transparent from the start that The Rock's not going to be at WrestleMania. They would have done some sort of storyline to explain why The Rock's not going to be there, so there is no expectation, or maybe they didn't know and they want to hope. The Rock accordingly said in the press conference essentially that the fans just trust that there always is something planned, and that's why I'm saying there could definitely be something planned later on, but as far as WrestleMania, that's the big show. WWE should have made it clear that WrestleMania, instead of presenting it in like rhymes and riddles like, okay, is he or is he not? It should have been made clear that The Rock was not going to be a part of this, because honestly, I don't think he really needed The Rock. This was all John Cena. John Cena could have just made the turn, because we never found out why he teamed up with The Rock. So yeah, we didn't get a big moment of Stone Cold coming in. And Austin is fresh, several months removed from knee surgery, so I'm not sure how much he could do physically in the ring anyway. So yeah, who knows if we'll ever get that big last moment with The Rock and Stone Cold getting physical for one more stunner. We'll see how that goes. That being said, while I thought it could have been executed better, like I said, I do think this is the right move. You can have Cody Rhodes chase John Cena for the championship, and now I'm looking forward to John Cena versus Randy Orton, most likely at Backlash, because we can get a John Cena and Randy Orton match, but for the first time, the dynamics is different. Now we'll have John Cena as the heel and Randy Orton as the babyface. I'm looking forward to another CM Punk and John Cena match. That was my favorite match I witnessed in person at Money in the Bank 2011, but this time Cena as the heel and CM Punk as the babyface. So I'm looking forward to seeing John Cena run back some of his classics and hopefully tie it up with some of the up and comers, and eventually, I think before the year's over, you can have Cody Rhodes defeat John Cena and do a redemption storyline where Cena loses the title, but he gets his redemption and he apologizes to the fans and he retires as a babyface. So overall, like I said, I think the right decision, but it could have been done better. As far as the match goes, I did enjoy it. I definitely think it's definitely been one of the better John Cena matches we've seen in recent years. So yeah, really said, I got much to complain about the match. I just thought the ending could have been executed a little better to make Cody Rhodes look better as that defiant babyface, but John Cena still found some way of every trick in the book to be a heel and win. You know, almost like when Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar, while I would have preferred a clean win when he beat him at SummerSlam a few years ago. Man, he went all out to try and cheat in everything he could to beat Brock Lesnar, and he did. And I thought I would have loved to seen that level of cheating from John Cena. I thought I was going to take everything, The Rock, Travis Scott, everything to put Cody Rhodes down. He is the man that finally beat Roman Reigns, but yeah, that's how it goes. So there we go for that. Overall, WrestleMania 41. I thought it was not a bad WrestleMania. I think, you think of WrestleManias 11, 9, which are very low and stuff like that. It's not on that level, but I don't think this was a great WrestleMania either. I thought it was okay. It was a solid, okay, good WrestleMania, not bad. But I can say I thoroughly enjoyed WrestleManias 39 and 40 a lot more. So overall, I think out of the WrestleManias that Triple H has booked so far, I thought this was the weakest WrestleMania compared to what those last two WrestleManias gave us. So yeah, overall, like I said, decent show, good show, but I just don't think this will go down among, it's not going to be in consideration for the Mount Rushmores of WrestleManias, and I don't think many fans will consider it to be among the top tier greats of all time WrestleManias. Not a bad show, and like I say with NXT, when Triple H is running it, and we're starting to see it with Shawn Michaels now, same thing for this WrestleMania. For WrestleMania 41, you have some when Triple H is booking, you're going to get some really great shows. You're going to get some good shows, but when it comes to WrestleMania, I don't think we haven't gotten a bad WrestleMania from Triple H yet, and hopefully we won't ever. This show was not as good, but yeah, like I said, I can't say it was bad. I can't say I sit here and I just thought this was absolutely horrible and wasted my time. No, I don't feel like that way. I did enjoy WrestleMania, but just nowhere near as much as WrestleManias 39 and 40.